Hey guys, okay, so I decided it would be good to do a little two-part series on what has tripped me up in my recovery from um, the abuse that I experienced by my BPD mom. So I figured I would do 4 points in this video and then 4 points in the next one. So, because I have a tendency, as I'm seeing, to kind of go a little long. So, anyway, and you guys all have things to do. You guys have lives and people and, errands to run or whatever. So, anyway, yeah, so hopefully breaking them up a little bit will be better. So, anyway, all right, so there's 8 things that I think have tripped me up in my recovery, and the first one is not accepting the reality of my family. I think that was huge. I think for years I avoided facing the fact that I needed to figure out what was wrong with my family, what was wrong with my mom. If I knew something was up, what was it, and I needed to give myself permission to diagnose her, even though I know she would never diagnose herself and has continuously and vehemently refused to get help or figure out what's wrong with her or anything like that, of course. And I needed to see that my diagnosing or my figuring out what was going on with the family wasn't a shameful thing. I was scared. I know I was, because I knew that I could be facing scrutiny. I could definitely be ousted by the family if someone knew that I had come up with, the fact that, my mom is a BPD and stuff like that. But instead, I was like, you know what? I can't move forward. I can't move forward unless I have some kind of a grid or something. I gotta have some kind of traction under my feet in order to move forward. And so I am really glad that, it took me a while. It took me till I was 33 to finally, finally see and really research borderline and figure out that whole stuff. But I'm really glad I did. So, yeah. So you have to have a framework in order to move forward. You just do. You have to have something to hold on to, because that's the only way you're going to get education, and that's the only way you're going to get really clear, effective support. So, next thing that I did that tripped me up was feeling like my situation is unique. There's some unique, or not unique, but rare characteristics to my situation about my family. But the story is not unique, and I needed to realize that. And I think the sooner I realized that, then the sooner I was able to understand that I was not alone, that I was really a statistic. And when you really think about, I'm right on the cusp of Gen X, Gen Y. And then, so my parents are boomers, and then, my grandparents are, what's known as the greatest generation. And so when you think about, how they all dealt with emotional stuff, the greatest generation, good grief, they were taught to shut it down. There was no such thing as, emotional help besides, an insane asylum kind of thing. And then for my parents, they just were in the beginnings of, the self-help movement, but that was about it, And now, us Gen X, Gen Yers, we've got, self-help coming out of our ears, of course. So I have to understand, too, that there's a lot of factors around this whole thing that makes it a lot more not unique, but like these are, common like emotional stuff that people struggle with anyway. But then on top of that, my mom happens to also be BPD, which, from what I understand, I mean, there's a portion of the society that is just that way naturally, and so anyway, so yeah, so realizing that I'm not alone was huge. The next one, oh gosh, this is a hard one, and I still struggle with this, is comparing myself to healthier people. This is a bad thing. I need to get like a rubber band or something to put around my wrist so that every time I start comparing myself, I like snap it or something just to remind myself that is absolutely unfair. I mean, it's unfair to compare ourselves to anybody, but especially to people who grew up with healthier family or less drama-driven family and such. So Facebook, man, even today, I finally had to get off of Facebook. So I was like, if I see one more, it's kids are going back to school right now. Like if I see one more, array of pictures of my friends, sending their kids off to school and all happy and huggy, and I'm going to like shoot myself. I'm like, I'm so tired of like, all of that, thinking that's just crap and is not fair to myself, not fair to the process that I'm in, and such, So anyway, I know what's helped me to move forward in my recovery is to be grateful for where I am right now. As hard as that is to go, you know what? Look at what I learned today, or look what I did today, or look what I tried new, or oh look, I didn't react to that, email from, that person the way I would normally. Like, that's awesome, so I need to be grateful for where I am and such. So, and then the last one is bad boundaries with your BPD mother, or not just bad boundaries with her, but also bad boundaries with basically your family, period. Because that, like, it's never just the BPD mom that you're going to have issues with. I think that's the thing, like BPD, it's a family system breakdown. Like, it's the whole family system that's dysfunctional. And so I definitely have siblings who think that my mom is like the greatest gift to mankind. And my father feels that same way too. He and my mom are still married. And, so it's really bad boundaries with all of them. I have to have good boundaries with all of them. And I know that varies for every person, At this point, I am in touch with 2 of my siblings, and that is literally it. And so the rest of them I have had to, unfortunately, at this point, basically cut off communication. It's very unfortunate, but that's just how it is. I think the key to boundaries, and I'll definitely talk more about this later, is that you have to like set boundaries with them to the point where you actually feel relief and you feel safe. And I think that if you are not feeling that way within your relationship with your mother, because maybe your mother isn't as bad off as mine, and she's just got some characteristics, got some traits going on, and you can still keep a relationship with her, that's awesome. But if you can't, but if you're not feeling safe and you're not feeling relief, within whatever relationship you have or the boundaries you have with her, then you're gonna struggle with your recovery. You just are. It's always going to be this push, this tug of war between you claiming yourself or her claiming you. So that's just something to hopefully keep in mind. So I hope these points help you, and yeah, I will see you in the second video.